Welcome and thank you for joining us. And by us, I mean me. First of all, hi, I'm Baratunde Thurston. I'm a writer, an activist, a comedian, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. But let's be real, I'm coming to you from Zoom. We're all in Zoom. That's just the way our life is right now. I'm joined in a powerful discussion about a powerful movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, by two incredible human beings. The actor, Daniel Kaluuya, who we all got to know pretty well and Get Out in the Black Panther, but who I first spotted back in Skins, because I was the person that watched that show and bootlegged it off of BitTorrent back in the day. Don't tell the authorities. We're also joined by the only child of the Illinois Black Panther Party chairman, Fred Hampton. That would be Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., who leads the Black Panther Party Cubs today. Daniel, Chairman Fred, what's good?
It's good, man.
Good to be here, brother. Right on.
Man, thanks for having me.
Thank you both for the time. Daniel, I would love to start with you. This is a big role that you've had to fill and the story of a life that many of us who grew up with some knowledge had never seen portrayed. And most Americans, most people in the world don't really know the story of the Illinois Black Panther Party or Chairman Fred Hampton. What was it like for you to step into this particular character?
Humbling. I felt humbled and honored. You know what I'm saying? When I really took in the scope of his ideas, his concepts, his beliefs, his love for the people, I felt just honored to kind of spiritually step into this position, for this narrative and to be a part of continuing the legacy. You know what I'm saying? In my medium, you have Chairman Fred Jr. doing it in the real world as well. You know what I'm saying? So it felt like an honor, and I just wanted to honor that, and give all that I could.
It looked like you did, and it seemed like the role called for a lot from you. What have you kept with you? Sometimes you take on a role and you never quite leave it. Is there anything that persists within you from channeling and portraying this person?
The power of loving yourself and loving the people that look like you and loving your own community. That's something that really resonated with me. And also, I feel my taking in Chairman Fred, it's like he had an internal revolution. He was free within his own mind, within his own spirit, within his own soul, and wanted to give the people the tools to be free within themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? To free themselves, which is with education, with food, with legal aid, with all these tools that they put in place and strategies they put in place to promote individual internal liberation, as well as community union, is really what I took from it.
That's powerful to hear. Chairman Fred Jr., as I understand it, you were born just weeks after your father was assassinated by the police. Never having met him in person, seeing only video representations and audio representations, what was it like for you to see Daniel's representation of your father?
I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember all of my poems by heart, but I said in the poem before, I learned lessons from your legend on what a man was supposed to be. In regards to speaking to Chairman Fred, I was fortunate to come, get hear not to sound cliches, but war stories. Old brothers and sisters gathered around old garbage cans, burning wood when they doing their libations, and just different, again, war stories are Chairman Fred's organized and everything, but to see the dialogue and just not only just the result of we haven't seen it on the big screen yet, but the process, sitting down with Daniel at literally at the house in which Chairman Fred Hampton grew up in, the Hampton house, at the table in which Chairman Fred, before he became Chairman Fred, he ate at our process, our dialogue, literally having our meetings on someone there's a saying with our organization, the Black Panther Party Cubs, we say the streets are our office. Our work hours are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. we met in our office, this is the streets, some of the same streets that Chairman Fred organized on. That process, then even to be in their office and Daniel's, Dominique's, and others, their offices on the set, and this in this the process of the mutual respect, that, you know what I'm saying, the struggles, you know what I'm saying, what's creatively speaking advantageous, as, you know, what's politically speaking, what can be told, and what can, that whole process. So it wasn't just a reactionary end result, just to see it, you know, see that, you know, like even the trailer, when you see the scene, we walked to the door, you know, just flashback, and that, you know, how many times that scene was cut, just an emphasis on a walk, you know what I'm saying, and how Daniel, his respect of just the body language, not, you know what I'm saying, not just the cadence, the particulars, you know, even stuff that I noticed, I look back, that I take for granted, that, like I said, I tell people as a youngster, I was speaking, I was embarrassed. I was trying to hold my hands down when I spoke until I actually seen actual footage of Chairman Fred when he spoke, how he moved his hands. Daniel's respect, and to pick up on that. And in fact, I think it was one scene when he was speaking, and it was like you may notice some of the Chicago accent or the stutter that kicks in, and he was on it, you know what I'm saying? I was hoping that the other people would say, oh, that was a mistake, take it again, but they ran with it, you know what I'm saying? It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. It's ongoing.
Yeah. It sounds like it was a real collaboration too. Like you said, you didn't just see the end product. You were sharing each other's worlds, visiting each other's offices, so to speak.
No doubt.
And I don't think that always happens. So I'm glad to hear it did with such an important story. There's a lot of trust involved in carrying this story. Daniel used the word humbled and honored in terms of playing this role. What was it like for you meeting the family through this process? And I heard you got put through some tests, some paces, some exposure. Could you share about some of that, please?
I felt meeting the family was necessary. Is how I felt about it. A story like this, and how the perspective that we wanted to tell it through, meeting the family and having them a part of the process, and having them, to be honest, enrich what we are doing. You know what I'm saying? To imbue the narrative with truth was imperative to me, and to everyone a part of the process. That's why I felt so. It felt like everyone was just aligned with the same kind of outlook in terms of like the importance of having Chairman Fred Jr., having Mama Kuya just saying things and redirecting us and coming onto set and educating us during lunchtime. It was amazing. So we went to the home, went to the office, and then we had a 8-hour meeting.
Yes.
And we kind of declared, Chairman Fred Jr. spoke to us and asked us to declare our intentions of why we're telling the story, who we are. I remember Mama Kuya took me and Dominique to the side and asked us why we make art, or what we feel the meaning of art is. And we had to go through that. And then Chairman Fred Jr., he took us to a place in Chicago that, you know, and I remember what he was saying. He was like, he said, if you're gonna play the chairman, I want to see what you're made of. I think it's something along those lines. I don't want to misrepresent you, Chairman, but it was something along the lines that if you're playing the chairman, I want to see what you're made of. Yes, and I let Chairman Fred take over for the story about where he took us.
Take us there, Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Jr.
There's character in character, you know, and I respect different fields, you know, saying whether we that of a athlete, a freedom fighter, a thespian, what have you. And in our genre, you know, since a freedom fight is revolutionary, and many times it's the dynamics of it, the intricacies of it, you know what I'm saying, are negated, and for a number of reasons, because the deal is we cut from a cloth that there are many things that, you know, we can't talk about. That, you know, being a revolutionary, you know, there are some ingredients in the recipe of revolutionary that are given. You know, Chairman Fred's ability to wed theory and practice, to not just talk, you know, who authored and organized the Rainbow Coalition in the city that remains one of the top segregated cities in the country. and the dynamic of how he dealt with what we like to refer to as the unpoliticized street tribes, or like some people refer to as the gangs. His ability to deal with that in the people. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people have a sanitized version of the streets of the people. You know what I'm saying? They get it at a certain stage when it's been go through the process. Chairman Fred did groundbreaking moves. You know what I'm saying? Even I tell people, even with the Rainbow Coalition, there were members of the Black Panther Party who could not relate to that. Then like, why are you talking to these different individuals in the streets? And and I actually, doing our dialogue, and this wasn't even planned, because, you know what I'm saying, the background, there have been a number of attempts brought to us, whether it be book deals or movie deals, we've turned down. So this wasn't, we didn't even see it get to this stage. We have war wounds from so many, ill intentions or what have you, or lack of respect, and also lack of respect. So Chicago, which is infamously referred to as Chirac now, and we don't brag about that, but that's the political reality. It's a war zone, and it's a microcosm what's happening in every colonized community. So I arbitrarily just ask and say, pick up Google search, what is the worst neighborhood in Chicago right now at this present time? Because it flips. And Inglewood and North Lawndale in particular, they happen to be real hot spots. And these are spots where we do a lot of our organizing. So it was Googled and then pulled up a place on Madison and Keeler, known as K-Town. And it just happened to be like 11 people were literally just shot. They were just shot that night. And, we said, let's go. We're going to meet right there, and this wasn't some, it wasn't simplistic. It's just to see a bravado call, but just the dynamics of respect, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people see revolutionaries and shit, they think about the leather jackets, the berets, but there's the underbelly of, you know what I'm saying, of what a revolutionary is. How do you, you know what I'm saying, deal with this climate, you know what I'm saying? We refer to the lumping proletarian, the lumping, those in the valley. Yeah. Chairman Fred would say, a lot of us talking about the mountaintop, but we going back to the valley where the people at. And we went to the valley. And, so we went there and the ground was literally still hot. The community was still out there. It was, and contradictions, contradictions were out there, and we had our dialogue, and again, Daniel, Dominique, the conversation with our comrades there, it was the setting, everything. And like we say, politics is like real estate, time and location, all this, it's important. And again, the setting was correct. We had some real, it wasn't pressed. It wasn't, I got to get out of here right now. And, and you see the comfortability to see where, this is where we at, and we're not going to put you in harm's way, and it's not to say neither one of these forces, they're not no punks either though, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. However, this just to be in the, saying that respect amongst each other to say, okay, if we talking about engage in this here, the legacy of Chairman Fred, and this is some things that you can't find, you can read in books. So this is some grit you got to smell and and feel, and they came.
So Daniel, what did you smell? How did you feel?
I'd seen that the site, the memorial site of the shootings had been destroyed. I remember that. I remember they had been destroyed, and Chairman Fred Jr. was explaining to me about how the police come and kind of wreck those kind of places, so that it was, for me, it was a microcosm of what's been done for centuries. It's the disruption of necessary healing. That from the powers that be. And I saw that there. I just saw that there. And I just felt like, yo, I didn't feel like I had anything to prove. I just was like, yo, I'm here to connect on a real level. I'm trying to understand your point of view, how you guys see the world. You know what I'm saying? I want to look through your eyes. I don't want to look at you. I want to look with you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of I felt. I just remember those kind of things, and I remember the energy. We were just talking. We were just chatting there, speaking. He was telling me about how it was, and you see the energy. Obviously, I see certain people walking and see the energy of how they're walking. It's bouncy. You know what I'm saying? It was bouncy. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't feel fear.
Yeah.
I didn't feel fear, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yes.
I just understood that there's a bounce.
Yes.
There's a bounce because it's beyond bouncy ground. You understand what I'm saying? That's life.
I love this a lot. And it brings me back to this word love, which Chairman Fred Sr. had so much for the people, Chairman Fred Jr., and this role required of you, Daniel. And so that test, that opportunity to go into K-Town and demonstrate, it's hard to demonstrate love through fear. Right? Fear in some ways is the opposite of love. And so it sounds like you didn't show up with a bunch of fear. You know, Fred Jr. didn't see that in you. You didn't report having that yourself. And that's the step toward love, which this role required you to demonstrate for a man who demonstrated it so much for his people. So that's a fun story, but it's also a very real and loving story too. Thank you for sharing it with us, both of you.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
What's where does this film fit, Chairman Fred Jr., in the legacy of the Panther Party and in the work that you're doing right now?
I'm in Oakland, California, as we speak. The birthplace of the Black Panther Party, historical stomping ground. In fact, Oakland and Chicago were referred to as sister cities with the Black Panther Party, and also the Black Panther Party cuz we refer to it as sister cities. I'm here to meet with our central committee on a few issues, and does even just with the discussion on this level, there's been information revealed that we knew that this, in fact, this recently was documented the direct role that former director of the FBI, Edgar Hoover, played in regards to surveillance and subsequent assassination of Chairman Fred. Also, that over 72 or 70% of the information written about the Black Panther Party came from the federal government or those who worked into the FBI. That's even in respect to the structure of the party. Like, individuals talking to me the other day, he come on saying Fred. I said, you can say chairman now that the studio, the mainstream is acknowledging now. This is an organization that stood up on its own terms. And when we say that even the titles, it's not ego tripping. It's recognizing that of self-determination. You know what I'm saying? This is an organization that called the question of assassinations, genocide, called it and took made revolutionary leaps and bounds when many people were taking a stance with, not going to the war, in regards to U.S. aggression against Vietnam. You had seen Minister U.E.P. Newton of the Black Panther Party had declared that they were even sending a contingent of members of the Black Panther Party to assist the Vietnamese people. So the ante was being up. So the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. I've been, people constantly saying, Cham, are you ready for all these interviews back to back? I say, it's a release, for people, it's receptive. Like even with the cast, the discussion, it never felt forced, like, okay, we got to go through this, this ain't part of our contract. They came, one day of filming, happened to be the anniversary, I hate to use that term, but of Tamir Rice being going down to Cleveland, Ohio. Cast members came out, and I was there speaking in Cleveland. They came there willingly. It was. I remember the time we sat down. Then you talk about doing lunch. And it wasn't a rush to lead a meeting. And so it's an energy there. So with this is helps open the door. This is not the end all panacea to our people going to be politically educated, but also doing film. We didn't anticipate this whole climate of coronavirus, or we refer to it as the pandemic, but it's a climate where people's political pores are open. You know what I'm saying? Because even with the breakfast program, I said there are gonna be struggles. Some people you're talking about a generation who may say, why would they have a breakfast program? Why they just didn't order Grubhub? You know what I'm saying? So this climate now of acknowledging it's terrible, but it's fine. So the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, the timing is intense. There's a lot of intensity in this film. Intense love, intense battles, physical and otherwise, and intense connection. And one of those intense connections is from the Deborah Johnson character, the Deborah Johnson person. And I've felt myself very moved. I would almost say most moved by this poetic scene, a literal scene filled with poetry, with a poem that I believe was written by Dominique, but I would love you to clarify if I'm wrong on this, Daniel. A poem that she shares with you in a scene that taps into the power of women, the vulnerability, the essentiality of women in this struggle. But tell me more about that poem and that scene and what it meant to you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Dominique couldn't be, because she was on another shoot, she couldn't be part of the rehearsals. So I was speaking to her a lot during the shoot. So she was missing out on a lot of like really big conversations regarding of how we're going to go and how we're mapping it. And we really cared about the arc between Chairman Fred and Deborah Johnson. We really cared about, we understood the importance of that. And she's always said that she was just writing, journaling as Deborah Johnson, and writing poems as, and then she, I think she opened up and showed it to Shaka, and Shaka said, yo, let's use that for the scene. And I think in the scene, it was like, for me, one of the kind of, in all characters, I'm looking for where are they evolving? How are they evolving? How are they becoming? And with Chairman Fred, at the beginning in the narrative, he just knew so much and he had so much internally. And you see it that when you first meet Deborah Johnson, she's gifting him something in terms of like broadening his perspective on his possible reach, you know? And so I think one of the amazing things about that dynamic in the film is that she is kind of educating him on a blind spot in terms of how she sees him being out there and how it relates to her being with child. And yeah, so it was kind of like, I mean, Dominique put so much into this. And so it just was really from the heart. It was really from the heart. And I felt really moved, like knowing that it was her personal words, knowing it was a summation of all the thoughts and beliefs and feelings that she had throughout the shoot regarding this time. And it was testament to like, this is more than just a role. You know what I'm saying? You don't go on set and people have written poems as the character that is worthy enough to be in the film. You know, that's testament to how much she cared, but also her ability. I mean, as a performer and as a writer. But it's something that that really moved me when I was there.
It's moving to know she wrote that. It's moving to know that Shaka wanted it included. It's moving to know, presumably, we found out, Chairman Fred Jr., that the family accepted it. This is not a literal moment. This is an artistic moment, trying to capture a part of someone's life and a part of someone's story. Or there's a creative license that may have been granted. How did you feel seeing that scene?
Well, that was one of those points in which political and creative, from the creative field, there was some struggles, and and like I said, we had some a number of different principal struggles, and there was contradictions where you can and prove a point that you say how it moved you, creatively speaking, how advantageous this was, and we have no regrets, you know what I'm saying? But like it was like politically, there's a, like you look at interviews from Deborah Johnson, Coogler and Jerry, how she sacrificed, she had gave up poetry, you know what I'm saying? Actually in real life, but this dynamic of it didn't, I appreciate and respect, like I say, what how was the struggles we had, and again we yielded, but the pros outweigh the cons. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you're not the first one to say, and I was impressed. I am impressed. You know what I'm saying? And just I don't know. Like we said, what do you mean she gave up poetry? Dominique did it. I heard yesterday. I think it was one, or did I read an interview she saw? She said she talking about even when she remember a comment that mother Coogler, then Deborah Johnson had said in reference to like even the structure, the respect, like how like even she wouldn't disagree with chairman in public, and like even a lot of people talk about like even the scene. I don't know if I'm giving the movie too much away, but her covering down with chairman when they assassinated chairman, and a lot of people cannot relate to that. You know what I'm saying? In that timing of comrades and terms and sacrifice and what you gave up. But at the same time, we want to get this word out. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it was a balance, a great balance, on a medium of meeting up to have a discussion made. And again, I think as Daniel pointed out, for her to bring to the table hers, her skills, and it wasn't something just. I mean, it wasn't that's where I want to look for. It wasn't artificial in regards to what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? And that whole, and I can, I did not attempt to speak about, what a woman goes through with those concerns. You know what I'm saying? And that climate of sacrifice, and in addition, not just from being with child being pregnant, that of being in a revolutionary organization. And you're talking about a climate where our people in general would not living past 30, less known to my being up for revolutionary, being targeted by the most powerful entity, not the country, but the world. You know what I'm saying? Over 90% of the COINTELPRO directed the Black Panther Party. And it's one thing to say, I'm putting my life on the line. You know what I'm saying? And in addition, that be able to articulate it, to sum it up, you know what I'm saying, about, with child, but not seeming, and the party, they contend against subjective, like we not me and I, I'm honored to fall from the tree of two freedom fighters. I'm for the stance, the chairman Fred, the Coogler, Deborah Johnson, down Coogler they took. I'm honored that this is told, what's being told, how it's being told. Because again, not proof in the pudding, proof in the people, the fact that how it impacted you and how it impacted so many other people. How she delivered the poem. And what she delivered in the poem.
I'm glad to hear that. I did not know what your answer was going to be, for the record, for those of you watching. That was beautiful. We had time for one more for you, Daniel, and I gotta get us up out of here. There's a couple of refrains in the film linguistically. Heighten the contradictions, which is something my mother used to say to me as a kid. I thought she was making stuff up. She was quoting the Panthers the whole time.
Right on.
But one that's even bigger and broader is back to power. Where there's people, there's power. And I'm curious for either of these phrases, Daniel, how those landed with you in this character, what still sits with you. Share any quick thoughts you might have on that before we get up out of here.
I think for me, the heightening the contradictions was when I first read that, I was like, oof, that's something I do not. That's a big idea. That's a big concept that I had to kind of, it's like and I think I must have asked you, Chairman, about it once. I think I asked about, what does that mean to you? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to, I had my ideas, and I still wanted them to be enriched by the source, as opposed to and run and go. You know what I'm saying? When you get a new idea and you kind of like, you don't want to carry on out in the world, it being light, it being light, being shallow. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's just what your point of view on it. And so where I think one time we had a big discussion, possibly on that lunch, and about heightening the contradictions and what that means, and in him showing us examples, for example, that when they wanted was it kind of a road sign? You wanted to change the road into Fred Hampton Way.
Yes.
Yeah, Fred Hampton Way. And then how that is an example of why it didn't happen is an example of heightening the contradictions and understanding it from that kind of space. It's something that really, it gave me, why it hit me, it gave me words of how I've lived. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've lived like that. So that I'm trying to go, what I got to do is do me, and then that person will reveal who they are. You know what I'm saying? If I be true in me, they will reveal who they are. It's as opposed to trying to convince them to be with me. It's like, no, I'm just gonna be me, and then you show me who you are, and you show them. They'll see you. They'll see who you are. You know what I'm saying? And it made me stand strong in that belief. It just gave me the words. It allowed me to articulate it to myself. And confirm it to myself, and I can walk in the world in that. And then power wherever there's people is something that I feel it, but I feel that my generation, it's been interrupted in a sense. Do you know what I'm saying? There's something that's been interrupted. The togetherness has been interrupted in a sense. And I can see the difference between that time and now, wherever people, because it's like people come together on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? It's that there's a surveillance happening. You know what I'm saying? In terms of your connectivity, you're not actually feeling someone. We're connecting to each other on Zoom. We're not actually feeling, like, you know what I'm saying? And it brought me to the root of it though. It's just like how important it is to be a part of the community, to be there, to be present, to share ideas, to talk, to someone said to me recently, it's conversations, not classes. You know what I'm saying? It's how you can really, because certain ideas will impact and resonate more, but you got to be together. Do you know what I'm saying? You got to like it's an empathy and compassion and togetherness through that, as opposed to just a mass of people. Because that's what we kind of help. As long as there's loads of people, that means it's about how are those people being activated? What are the thoughts within those people? What are the beliefs within the people? How do they feel? What is the objective? What's the through line? What's the checkpoint? They're the kind of, it made me go, oh, there's a process to get to the power. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, it's how it felt to me.
Yeah.
But please ask Chairman Fred Jr. about, I don't know, you know, because that's personally you want to hear from about these two concepts.
Chairman Fred Jr., if you can do it, I got a little warning. So I just respecting your time.
You can't give me no 2 seconds, man. You can't
give him 2 seconds. You can't give him 2 seconds.
Okay, so here's the deal. I just got to make a little disclaimer. All right, for the powers that be, where there's people, there's power. Right now, the power is with these people, and we're gonna let Chairman Fred Jr. address this topic, and then I'm gonna wrap this. Okay,
man. Hey, let me commend Daniel again, Dominique, and Cass, and everybody. I mean, I'm on charge, man. Hiding the contradictions, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Daniel, you laid it out. You laid it out, you know, and nothing was wasted on our, you know what I'm saying, on our conversation and again, our ongoing conversation. But again, I just, that term, I'm going to be as brief as I can be. Hiding, we in our community, the oppressed, the Black community in particular, we're told, you know, to be liberal, do not even acknowledge that contradictions exist. We think like it's a bad thing. We must acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, because the setback with that is that the ruling class, the system will say, okay, they will make them necessarily become antagonistic contradictions. You know, so we want to come in with this blanket approach that we all have the same agenda, but we all come from different experiences and lack of experiences. Minister UEP, I'm going to close with this. Minister UEP News said that contradictions are the ruling principle of the universe. Are the ruling principle of the universe. Minister UEP News. I'm gonna close it out with that. Yes, indeed. And give us a to be continued so we can follow up again.
We will definitely continue this. I'll leave y'all with a brief personal story. I cited my mother earlier. She was born in 1940 in Washington, D.C. I was born in 77 in D.C. Her parents were born in Washington, D.C. as well. So it was multi-generational. And she used to say this to me. She would say, question authority all the time, except for hers, conveniently, right? There was like an exception clause, parental exception. And she would say, heighten the contradiction as my political awareness was starting to be born. Yes. I was like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And she interpreted it, at least I interpreted her interpretation as, you want to focus on those contrasts, on those differences, on those inconsistencies. Turn up that dial, almost like on the TV set.
Yes.
And then you see more clearly where you stand, the way you put it, Daniel. And it's an intrinsic principle of the universe, the way Huey Newton put it too. Thank you, Chairman Fred Jr. for that. And so with that contradiction heightened, you can operate more clearly. You can see more clearly. And I think that mission, that the channeling, the purpose around where there's people, there's power, this film helped me see so clearly. You heighten some contradictions and unlocking the people's choice. If the propaganda of the COINTELPRO operation was to make out the Black Panther Party to be this rabble-rousing, revolutionary, anti-establishment, violent, destructive entity, what the movie helped remind you of is that it was really about heightening the contradiction for people so they can unlock their power and make a choice for themselves.
Yes.
And we're just trying to show them true picture. And that's, so y'all did it well. And I say y'all because it was clearly a collaboration. Daniel Kaluuya, thank you so much for your time. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., thank you so much for your time.
Right on.
Take care, my bro.
Thank you, bro.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. Right on.
Peace.